thrilled to have Stefania Maurizi, who works for the Italian daily La Repubblica as an investigative reporter after 10 years of working for Espresso. Stefania has come to talk about how to very creatively use freedom of information requests across borders internationally to investigate state maneuvering against WikiLeaks. Stefania.
So good morning. Thank you to the CIJ for inviting me. So I was introduced as working for La Repubblica. I can tell you that as a media partner, I have worked as a media partner with WikiLeaks for the last 9 years, quite a lot, and working on all the releases of secret documents. So it was thanks to this work that, as a media partner with WikiLeaks, that I began to understand the massive legal and extra-legal risks faced by Julian Assange and his staff. Like its work or not, WikiLeaks is rather unique. This is for 3 reasons. This is a media organization publishing exclusively secret or otherwise restricted documents on invisible powers. Yes, invisible powers like the intelligence agencies, which ordinary people don't even perceive as relevant to their lives because you don't stumble in intelligence services usually. But we know that real power is invisible. Real power is invisible. And this organization is revealing the secret documents systematically, not occasionally, as most media organizations do, not working as a conduit for authorized leaks, as many national security reporters do. So I think there is little doubt, very little doubt. Does it work? OK. There is little doubt that as a media organization, WikiLeaks has the full force of the state against it. But in addition, WikiLeaks is very likely, doesn't work? OK. It is very likely the only Western media organization which has been under continuous investigation by the US authorities and probably others since 2010, when it revealed massive bombshells like the collateral murder video or the US diplomacy cables. And the US grand jury opened an investigation which is still ongoing. Finally, WikiLeaks is unique because it's the only media organization whose founder, longtime editor and current publisher, is arbitrarily detained. It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree with this. It's not my opinion that he's arbitrarily detained. It's the opinion of the UN body in charge of establishing who is arbitrarily detained. You may agree, you may disagree, it doesn't matter. That's the UN body in charge of deciding this. The UK government disagreed, tried to appeal, they lost. And they just put aside this truth, this thing. So back in 2015, when I look at this framework, I said, how is it possible that no journalist, no media organization or journalist has tried to acquire the full documentation on Julian Assange, the full documentation on WikiLeaks to acquire factual information. This is what journalism is about, acquiring factual information to reconstruct what happened. I mean, we have read thousands of articles about Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, but no one tried to acquire the full documentation. It was really incredible. I mean, it's something that drives me mad. Look this week. Articles about the cat. Are we talking about? I mean, we have the only Western editor arbitrarily detained in an embassy, not sitting in an embassy in North Korea, sitting in London, in the heart of Europe, and we are covering the cat. I mean, call him as you want. You don't like journalists, you don't like editor, you call publisher, call as you want. It's a matter of fact, he revealed very important information in the public interest, information that is used by hundreds of journalists every day. I mean, every day we access cables, we access whatever. So I think that it's not only a matter of decency, try to investigate this and doing our job, but it is also important because it provides a unique opportunity. Why a unique opportunity? Because it provides the opportunity to investigate what happens to a media organization, to a very aggressive media organization when it has the full force of the state against it. What does the state do against you if you are an aggressive media organization? We know what authoritarian states do. They kill journalists. Our democracy don't do this for several reasons. So what do they do exactly? I wanted to acquire factual information on this. That's why I started my FOIA investigation back in August 2015. 3 years later, I'm still here fighting the UK authorities in the London tribunal. In addition, I started from Julian Assange because of his unique situation. Then I expanded my FOIA investigation to 3 WikiLeaks journalists. Sarah Harrison, the British journalist who went to Hong Kong to help Snowden. Christine Rawson, the current editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks. And Joseph Farrell, a British journalist who has worked very closely with Julian Assange, keeping a very low profile. So my first intuition was a very good one. My first intuition was a very good one because I understood that it was important to use the Swedish openness as a picklock to obtain information here about the UK authorities, which are definitely not open and Sweden. You have to realize that two agencies played a crucial role in the Assange case. The Swedish Prosecution Authority in Stockholm, which investigated the rape allegations, and the Crown Prosecution Service in London, which provided judicial assistance to the Swedish prosecutors, because the Swedish investigation was in Stockholm, but Julian Assange has been in London since 2010. So this intuition of starting, I know, some sabotage by the GCHQ, okay, okay. So my first intuition was a good one because I started with Sweden. If you want to understand the immediate difference, just look at these 2 emails. This is the very same email, the first released by Sweden, and the second released to me by the UK. You can compare the difference. You can compare and this email is very, very important. Why? Because as soon as I filed in August 2015, my Swedish FOIA, Sweden immediately collaborated with me, releasing me few documents, 226 pages, but very good. Why very good? Because he revealed the special interests of the UK authorities in the case. Because it was the UK authorities, it was basically the UK Crown Prosecution Service, specifically the Crown Prosecution Service lawyer Paul Close. Don't forget this name, Paul Close. Don't forget. It was this lawyer who advised against the only investigative strategy that could have led to a quick resolution of the Swedish investigation, questioning Assange in London rather than trying to extradite him to Sweden, okay? And this decision by the UK Crown Prosecution Service, this advice by the Crown Prosecution Service contributed to creating this quagmire, legal and diplomatic quagmire, which is still keeping Julian Assange in the embassy with no end in sight, no end in sight. So it was this lawyer from the Crown Prosecution Service who advised about this strategy. At some point, even the Crown Prosecution Service had some doubt about this strategy because it was a catch-22 situation. There was no solution. So in 2003, they wanted to drop the European arrest warrant, and the UK authorities were not convinced, didn't want this. So what kind of special interest do they have in this case? Why they want him there? Why they are more secretive, as you have seen from that email, than the Swedish authority who opened the investigation? Why they write things like this? Okay, this is what the Swedish authority, they say, please do not, oh, sorry, more sabotage. Please do not think that the case being dealt with as just another extradition request. They write this in more than an email. So what makes this case special? What makes this case special for the British authorities? So after these emails, I decided to file a FOIA to the UK Crown Prosecution Service. It was a real odyssey. From that September 2015, I'm still fighting the UK authorities before a tribunal. First of all, the Swedish stopped any collaboration with me as soon as I started filing FOIA in the UK. They closed the tap of information. It was really important to close the Swedish tap due to the Swedish openness. They understood that closing the Swedish tap was strategical. So Sweden closed the tap, and the UK refused any collaboration. They didn't release anything. When I started my litigation, represented by two excellent lawyers, Estelle DeHaan and Jennifer Robinson, they released me 439 pages, completely useless, completely redacted, as you have seen from that email. But that release was very important. Why it was very important? Because thanks to that release, I discovered that they destroyed emails from the Crown Prosecution Service, crucial emails about Julian Assange. How did we discover this with my lawyers? We discovered this. They wrote this. In addition, the account was deleted. How do we discover that they destroyed this email, crucial emails? We discovered this because they said, this is all the correspondence we had with Sweden. And I said, no, this is not all the correspondence you had with Sweden, because I found crucial gaps about crucial times. For example, there were no emails about Assange getting asylum from Ecuador. It's impossible. They never discuss anything like that. I didn't find anything about when he took refuge in the embassy. It's impossible. They never discussed this. So when I asked for the missing email, they said, the emails have been destroyed. This is very suspicious. They destroyed the emails about a very high-profile case, still ongoing. Why? They never provided how many pages they have on Julian. They just provide an estimate, and after my inquiries, they suddenly discover an electronic file, and they say they are unable how many pages they have. The tribunal ruled that I have no right to access to the documents. In particular, I have no access no right to know if there is any correspondence with the US, between the US and the UK authorities. And they said he could tip off Julian Assange because he has to be extradited. If there is an extradition request, the Crown Prosecution Service is ready to extradite him as a mafia dealer, as a mafia killer, a drug dealer, a narco, like any other. So the Crown Prosecution Service is willing to extradite him like a criminal, like any other. I want to close saying, we got permission to appeal, we will appeal, and FOIA litigation in Sweden has been killed. I'm fighting sabotage, you have to consider. I'm fighting Australia, and look what I got from Australia. Wonderful pages, very useful, useful pages. And I'm litigating also my FOIA about Christine Rasson, Sarah Harrison, and Joseph Farrell. Once again, they refused to provide any document. Next month, I will be here again to appear before the tribunal. I want to thank the Logan Foundation for making this possible, helping with the legal costs. And I want to close with this. In the last 6 years, in which Julian Assange has remained confined in the embassy, there has been no UK, no US media say, we shouldn't treat a human being this way. We shouldn't do it if we don't want that the regime do the same with their journalists and their intellectuals. This deafening silence by the US and UK media will seriously taint the reputation. I want to thank a special person, Susan Ben. Thank you.